Welcome to the Game On podcast. Tonight, Adelaide. How will they approach this first final against Collingwood? And Josh Carr, has he been hung out to dry before he's even coached a game at Port Adelaide with the Great Reset happening? And the SANFL crown a new champion from the Double Blues. Alright, let's get into this. Let's do this. My name's Pete, once again joined by Malcolm in the studio. Mate, how has your week been?
Let's go sporting-wise.
Yeah.
I thought the highlight of the weekend was Piastri
Yes.
getting up. Personally, the 4-year-old who we look after every Thursday and Friday, Ollie, it was his birthday on the weekend. And, yeah, he was pretty excited.
Absolutely. It would have been quite
So,
chuffed.
yeah.
Piastri, obviously, doing very, very well there. And we're going to talk about him a little bit later in our extra time big finish. But let's just start off with, if you haven't liked, rated, subscribed to our channel yet, please do so. All of those metrics certainly help
Get your
us.
mates following us.
Exactly right. Friends, teammates, even opposition players, have a bit of a laugh with them, while you're on the field as well, and let them know that we have a podcast for all South Australians and all South Australian sports. Second thing is, if you have liked, and this was pointed out to me, if you have liked on YouTube, sometimes the analytics, I don't know, takes off your subscription and then re-adds it. So just double check to make sure that it's all
Yeah,
there.
it is
So
a bit weird, isn't it?
it is. Technology is a wonderful thing when it works, and we've had our fair share of technical issues with some of our interviews over the last couple of weeks, which we've now got sorted out. But, mate, it's been a good week, and for me, the highlight was probably Norwood getting up. We sort of went with the head, centrals, but the heart was always saying Norwood, and they actually did quite well, and we'll talk about
a bit of a weird game. 16 out of the 19 goals to one end. So, yeah.
We'll talk about that one a little bit later. All right, mate, coming up a little bit later, let's get into Around the Grounds.
Around the Grounds.
Sorry, mate, almost went a little bit too early there with coming up a little bit later. We've got some SANFL. We're going to talk some tennis. And we're also going to talk some AFLW. But to kick us off tonight, we're now in the final stretch. There's only 2 days to go before the first final. Adelaide are playing Collingwood. This finals game has all the elements of a classic, with the Crows only winning one out of the last 6 games against Collingwood. Does that play into the narrative for this first final on Thursday night?
Yeah, possibly. They've got the monkey off their back, though, winning last game. I think the worry this week's the crowd.
Yep.
I can see it being the most volatile atmosphere there's ever been, and fights left, right and centre.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I hate to say it, but could it get to the stage where the game gets postponed and then played in front of an empty stadium to finish off? I don't think it'll get that bad.
I don't think it'll get that, but I'm sure the police are going to have and they're going to be extra security put on for the night.
Yep. Heaps,
apparently, so that huge extra money. And we'll talk about it again later, because the AFL have been the moral police.
Yep.
Ridiculous.
Let's talk about the game itself. Any interesting selections that could come Adelaide's way? Let's talk Adelaide, obviously, first.
Sounds like Max McElhenney will be tagged. Josh Dacos is the word. Yep. So there. And Cox will come in for Collingwood for McStay.
Okay. Some interesting footage that came out today at Collingwood training that DeGoey goes down with a little bit of a knock on the leg, but all is well. But, geez, you don't want to be getting those in practice, let alone, a couple of days before a big final.
Yeah, and I think Bo McCreary, look, the fact he hasn't really trained since last week, there's obviously a bit of damage there. Now, they'll jab that up and all that. But, geez, if you get a knock on the knock and someone treading on that again.
Yep.
So,
taking injured players into finals isn't...
It's always calculated. It works sometimes, it doesn't at others. So, yeah, wait and see.
Adelaide rule out a young gun out pretty early, but another young gun has obviously been given the green light, which you talked about, Max McElhenney. But the other one is probably Pedler for me. Is that someone that you could see stepping up and making a difference in this finals?
I think they'll both play. I think the changes will be Draper, who I would still have played personally.
Yep.
Draper, and I think Dowling will miss out.
Yep. Josh Rochelle was the other one we're talking about that was ruled out relatively early, but it looks like his return will be predicated on whether they play next week or the week after. Is that slotting him straight in the best thing?
They've said he's trained now for a week and a half. I'm surprised that they're not playing him with some managed minutes this weekend.
Okay.
I can't quite work that out, that he's available.
Yep. Are they taking an ultra-conservative approach like they did with Max? I mean, because they really
but if they've
probably could have played him for managed minutes on Sunday.
Yeah, but I get why they
SANFL.
did. I get why they didn't. Yep. Sunday to Thursday, there's not that huge gap. So I get that. But, yeah, I admit, if they're saying he's okay and he's trained flat out for over a week, I would have thought you'd play him.
I've seen some of his social media stuff. He has ramped up, obviously, his lifting and running and movement and patterns and obviously getting out and having a kick of the ball. It is an interesting one, but I suppose that depending on what happens with this first final is that he may be required to have that little bit of explosion later on. I mean,
it's a big thing not to have played for so long, though.
And then to step into a final?
I'm not a big fan.
You're not convinced?
No.
Fair enough. Where is the game potentially won and lost, and who is potentially your match winner for both sides?
Need to get hold of the ball a lot more than last game. It's pretty crazy where, mind you, I still thought last time where Collingwood had plus 34 inside 50s, I thought a lot of them were shallow inside 50s. I didn't think those supposed stats dominated the game as much as what it said out of that. I think Thilthorpe's the key. He didn't do, yes, he took the one big pack mark in the last quarter, but he didn't really do that much.
Yep.
He was toey. He gave away a couple of dumb frees, and he should have given away another one where the umpire made the mistake.
Where he kicked the ball away,
So hopefully, I'd like them to get out and tell jokes before the game, because it really is, it's who relaxes first.
Yep.
Not who's keyed up, it's who relaxes.
Well,
first.
this is the situation,
the
isn't
Walker
it?
300th puts that extra bit on it.
Neil Bullen,
Bullen's
what's that, 200? And
yes,
we can't forget Mark Keane's 50th for Adelaide as well. I heard a story from Tex, I think it was on local radio, talking about how between the three of them they'd played 550 games and he should be getting a bit more kudos. That's the kind of stuff that you've got to have around the place, especially with what's happened a couple of weeks ago and what's going to potentially happen on Thursday night.
I'm a mammoth Taylor Walker fan. I don't think that's exactly a secret anywhere.
Yep.
Right from day one, right from the first day he arrived at Parade, he's still giving me the job of finding his first ever goal. And trust me, don't you think a few of us have tried?
Yep.
A left footer at the Parade from about 55. We can't find it.
All right, a bit of a challenge to our listeners.
Anyone.
That's exactly right. Even if it's mobile phone footage or
Trust
something.
me, you will get a big, huge fan in T Walker because he is the one after it.
Yep, fair enough. Should be that's a nice little needle in the haystack there. Walker's obviously 300th. What are your fond memories of Tex over the journey? You said, like you said, and a lot of listeners may not know that. Back then the AFL clubs were aligned to the SANFL clubs. Yeah.
Oh, look, his dad played for Nord, which probably not a huge number of people know.
Yep.
I admit I did go up to Wayne, Wacker Walker, and said, I was here to watch you. I have seen you play an under-19s game here, and I quoted a couple of things, and he said, I got told you're a footy moron, Malcolm. You've certainly ticked that off.
Yep.
And get on really well with Wacker. Right, Taylor, right from day one. Look, for me, the personal bit, I organised the Motor Neuron Day at Nord.
Yep.
Obviously in honour of Chris
Yep.
the late Chris Grigg and the late Damien Lane.
Yep.
And the Crows happened to be playing Richmond on a Friday night. Now, it would have been really easy. Tex rang me. It would have been really easy for him to say, oh, sorry, Malcolm, bit hard. He got the first flight back to Adelaide by himself. He got the red-eye flight back himself.
Yep.
He was fantastic. Immense respect for him. And probably another one. He's the main instigator. The Crows boys have got a side in the 2020 They actually play generally for Princes now. It's an offset there, but that doesn't matter.
Yep.
But no, he walked out to bat against Pembroke when I was coaching Pembroke, and Jimmy Winard was actually a good leggy, and he bowled a wrong and first up to Walker. Texas missed it, and he's just gone straight to Jimmy. What'd you waste that on me for? And everyone just cracked up.
Tex, one of my memories is obviously him playing for Nord there at the Adelaide Oval against Port Adelaide. It's a couple of good
winning a final,
couple of good games there, and obviously there was a couple at the parade as well. But look, his first goal in AFL football at the MCG against Collingwood.
Yep.
Funny enough that we're obviously playing Collingwood this week. And it was as cool as a cucumber, and that's probably been the laconic nature of him throughout his career. Were you surprised that he was named captain by Phil Walsh, the late Phil Walsh?
Only mildly.
Yep.
I think I knew him well enough that I knew the leadership there and that. And
was it a case of him not
Phil Walsh is obviously
being full on into it, like he could actually have that relaxed, laconic, bit of a laugh, bit of a boy's boy?
Yeah, maybe. But he is fully intense, but he's still a kid at heart as well. He still does the bloody practical jokes, and he's 35.
Yeah.
You know, that's Taylor.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why, obviously, he's still at the Crows now and probably playing some of his best football. I know that this is a hypothetical, but can you see him going on next year?
I think it depends what the end of the season, how the final series
All
goes.
right. Well, let's question without notice here. Let's throw it up and throw it out to our listeners as well. We'd love to hear your comments, but let's see what you think. If they get through to the grand final and win a premiership,
I reckon he'd do a Shane Crawford then. But also, let's be honest. Yes, Taylor will get set in the media and that afterwards, but no other job he is suddenly going to brings in 300-400 grand.
Yep.
So I've got no problem with a player going for as long as they possibly can. If they end up playing SANFL, so be it. Yep. So I reckon go on. I think he keeps going, whether he wants to go through another pre-season and all that. But it's huge income to not back.
Absolutely. Let's play the devil's advocate here. Adelaide go out in straight sets. Is it still a little bit of unfinished business?
But I think it'll also depend how he goes himself.
Yep.
If Adelaide bomb out in straight sets and he has 2 average finals, well, then he probably says.
What do you think his finals is going to hold this year? Because I just have a feeling that this is going to be the one that he actually does sort of dominate and does take.
Let's remember, he's done that before. He won the Crows a final against Fremantle at Footy Park.
Yep.
And that, look, I think for him, the big thing isn't so much for he's getting the ball. Is his organisation. And I'm sorry, Darcy Fogarty's lost without him.
Yep.
You've only got to go through about the 5 games in the last couple of years where Taylor hasn't been out there, and have a look at that Darcy Fogarty's form.
Yep.
He's still a key player at his organisational skills. So
is that where Thilthorpe's probably leapfrogged Fogarty as far as that side of it goes? Is that he understands a little bit more of where he needs to go? Whereas
the pattern's a bit better than Darcy.
Fogarty.
So,
yep.
Yeah.
Is that a case of living in Taylor Walker's shadow a little bit, in that doesn't want to step on the toes a little bit? He just wants to play his role, but he just needs that. I need to be the number one man.
Yeah, not sure. I'm not. It's just interesting watching Darcy at times where he, it was a game against Western Bulldogs, and then the game against West Coast, where he got himself in some real couple of spots, and you're going, hang on.
Yep.
Admittedly, it was on TV, which is always harder than live than being there. But so
there you go. Alex Neil-Bullen obviously playing his 200th game, mate.
Yeah.
We obviously haven't seen a lot of Neil-Bullen up close as far as here in Adelaide, but he forged a fantastic career at Melbourne. What are some of your thoughts on Alex?
It's more from what you hear behind the scenes that he's so well respected. I think that's the key. You can watch and you can see the work rate, and at times you're thinking, geez, he hasn't got much of the ball, but then it's so hard, the unrewarded running and things like that. So it's, and that high half forward floating back and forth
is the hardest. One of the
hardest.
hardest
It's become
roles.
more and more of a position that you seem to have about 4 of them now each side, and Carlton and all that now are desperately searching for them, etc. And that. So
it's a high half forward and a attacking back flanker, aren't you? Really looking
Yeah.
for organisation and obviously professionalism is something that that comes to mind when you speak
Yes.
of Alex Neil, and that's probably something that Melbourne has lacked since he's obviously left, and that poses a big problem for Melbourne if these sort of players are leaving. And I know he left for personal reasons, but there'll be other players that could potentially leave during this trade period that take a lot of that professionalism and IP with them to potentially a new club.
Well, it's interesting at the moment, isn't it? All the rumours you're hearing, and like Kerno, Ridley, Merritt,
Petrarca.
It seems to be the gaps between the sides seem to be growing, not shortening. And
you brought up a very good point. I was going to bring it up in some of our AFL hot topics, but that destination club is really, really important these days. I mean, look at Brisbane could potentially pick up 2 or 3 absolute gun, which keeps them in the hunt again.
I'm still bugging how they're fitting them all in the salary cap. So anyway,
they're taking unders potentially, but
yeah.
Anyway, we'll see how we go. And let's not forget Mark Keane. Obviously, 50 games for the Adelaide Football Club, but Collingwood had him on their list. Didn't quite work out. He went home. Clearly missed being here, and whoever was on the recruiting committee that got hold of him, it is a masterstroke, isn't it?
And apparently Collingwood chased him pretty hard for this year, not in the first play and all that.
Yep.
And to his credit, in the end, he stuck true to the club who chased him the second time. So yeah, he's been a huge success.
Absolutely. What's been the best thing about Mark Keane? Do you think he
does?
Mark
Against Port Adelaide.
We were there for that one, weren't we? That mark was an absolute beauty. You do have your heart in your mouth every now and then, him kicking out of the back lines. But
and giving away some free kicks.
And there's
still a lot to learn with him.
Yep. But still, though, to be able to make yourself an AFL player and be part of, clearly Adelaide's best
made the
back
All-Australian
six.
squad of 40.
Yep.
How Josh Worrell didn't make the side.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that one in a minute. All right, what is the best case scenario for Adelaide? And let's talk about the worst case scenario in their pursuit of a premiership.
Oh, it's obviously going at straight sets, but I think everything out of this 8 is so even.
Yep.
Like, there's no one's just an absolute gimme in that second week. Well, you did used to have sides in the second week go, right, well, they'll go down next week.
Yes.
Well, I reckon any of us could tip naught out of, in this final series.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
It is different.
Let's talk about average games per player. Average games per player for the home and away season. Collingwood sitting at top there with 156. Brisbane at 133. Sydney surprisingly at 119. I thought that was quite interesting. And Geelong obviously at 119 as well. Melbourne at 117. And Hawthorn at 108. Those games experience do come into play when it does come to finals.
Yeah, it does, but it's just going to be who relaxes. Now we've seen plenty of players over time. On one I've always remembered was Shannon Grant from North Melbourne. His finals record before that grand final was absolutely Scheisenhausen, and that's being polite.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden he wins to Norm Smith.
Yep.
So it can fluctuate.
Who's one player you're really looking forward to ripping it up this final series? I mean, we've talked from Adelaide and a Collingwood point of view of obviously Thilthorpe for Adelaide, but another player from another team, which is the one that could potentially just make the finals their own?
Watson from Hawthorn, I think, is a chance there. Ashcroft at Brisbane. Yeah. There's enough. There's plenty. Every side's got them.
Yep.
Callahan at GWS.
Yep. Charlie from Brisbane could turn it on.
Yeah.
Lehmann could turn it on.
Yeah.
Dangerfield could have a purple patch for 4 weeks, and they timed his run relatively well. Jeremy Cameron could bob up and kick.
Still needs 17 and
10
he
goals.
might get that goal in the grand final late. How huge would that be?
Yep.
Amusing seeing 100,000 people pissed
trying to
running
squeeze
on
on. In previous seasons, obviously, the average age of a team or average age per player per team has played a big part in, obviously, those finals runs. And realistically, it's Collingwood, Geelong, Brisbane and Sydney are the top four, but obviously Hawthorn make up the fourth side in the teams that are going to play finals this year. That plays a big part when it comes to just settling everything down, and I think this is where Adelaide are going to probably just struggle a little bit with the emotion of what's gone on over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I agree there. I think Collingwood are very lucky that Rochelle and Rankin aren't playing, because I think they struggle with pace, and especially with McCreery carrying a foot, Bobby Hill not playing.
Yep.
So they're probably not overly quick. You know, they've only won 2 of their last 7.
Yep.
They did only just fall in against Melbourne last game, so it's not like Collingwood is setting the world on fire.
No, and Adelaide are in the same boat against North Melbourne and West Coast in the last couple of games, but they did take the foot off the pedal, didn't they?
Yeah, I thought North Melbourne, they just did what they had to. It was they were playing bruise-free footy.
Yep, trying to
just did enough.
get through. Exactly right. All right, mate. Let's get a tip out of you. Adelaide v Collingwood, first game on 7:10 Thursday, September the 4th.
I'm going to go for Adelaide.
Adelaide for me there in a very tight contest. I don't know if you've seen it and you know what ChatGPT is, but it's an AI algorithm. I think one of the radio stations had a bit of fun with it overnight or over the last few days. And it's got Adelaide. It is frightening. It's got Adelaide coming out just ahead of Geelong in the grand final, and I'm talking like 10 or 11 points. So interesting final series, that's for sure. All right, let's move on to the second final. On Friday night, we've got Geelong v the Brisbane Lions. What are you expecting from this contest, mate?
Again, obviously, just either way, you wonder on Geelong's build-up. Have they had enough games against decent opposition in the last 2 months?
Yes.
Brisbane away have been the masters.
Yep.
And that, but haven't got any injuries, Geelong. No injury. Conway is their only player. He's far from an automatic either. So I just think they're cherry ripe. Geelong.
Health is your best friend, isn't it? Really.
Yeah. And like Lockie Neal comes back, but hasn't played for a month. He's obviously not going to be quite 100%. Obviously,
and the injury he had wasn't help.
Haven't got Hipwood still, and
yep.
Yeah. See, Tom Dode's done his wrist this time.
Can't take a trick.
Right?
Yeah, can't take a trick, can he?
Yeah.
Does what happened at GMHBA Stadium a couple of weeks ago there with Brisbane, sort of opening Geelong up quite considerably, does that play a part considering the slight DNA of the Brisbane Lions over the last 6 to 8 weeks has been to take the game on through the middle? And conversely, is this going to be a final series where whoever can open it up through the middle will actually get the chocolates?
I know it might be a boring comment, but it's whoever kicks straight.
Yep.
Geelong, that game against Brisbane actually had a lot of the ball early.
Yep.
I think they were 5 points at one stage. It's just kick the ball between the two big wood posts. Wins.
Yes, very, very important, but also finals pressure is going to bring those kind of results as well.
I'll go the Cats.
You go the Cats as well. I'm going to go the Cats as well, but I'm a bit with you that the soft lead up could play a little bit of a part. I mean, you look at Brisbane's run into the finals versus Geelong's. You're right. It's been bruise-free footy for them, and they've just done what they've had to do. But unfortunately, Scott is just a wonderful coach when it comes to getting his players up and about, and they've recruited pretty well too, and that's the difference. And I think a lot of clubs need to use that model, and I think Brisbane is sort of doing it as we speak, and I think Adelaide are starting to do it as we speak. And there's a couple of teams like Carlton and Essendon who haven't got on that train, and it's cost them dearly.
You wonder what St Kilda are doing.
We'll talk about that one a little bit later. All right, the Giants v Hawthorn, for me, again, we talked about this last week and could be one of the games of the round. Yeah,
look, it is. As we said, all 4 finals. I think the last one, Freo, 99% of people are going to tip Freo, but Real and Anderson get on top, and Touk Miller and Witts, they're good enough to win that.
Yep.
But yes, I'm sure the overwhelming majority are going to go fit. 54,000 people there, and let's be honest, there'll be lucky to be 500 or 1,000, probably 1,000 Gold Coast.
Yep.
There, where GWS Hawthorn, toss of the coin.
You've got injured players. Do you play injured players? I mean, GWS have got 5.
It almost sounds like they might bring too many back. I'm not sure on Hogan. Hogan, the last 2 games he's played has looked terrible before the end.
Yep.
I'm going to go the Hawthorn in that that one.
You can go Hawthorn in that one. Well, an interesting statistic, mate, is that their record at NG Stadium or the GWS home ground against GWS, and also during the COVID period where they were sharing grounds and everything else, is 0-8, 0-6 against GWS, and 0-2 against neutral opposition teams.
Interesting.
It is an interesting little stat. I did pull that one out today. Thank you. So that does play a part, but I'm in the same boat as you in that the Giants' talent is good enough, but too many injuries I think are going to play their part here, and I don't know whether Toby Green can physically get them over the line by himself, because that's what's they're going to need some sort of.
He's got a good record at doing it.
He has indeed. That's exactly right. Hawthorn for you. I'm going to go Hawthorn, but only just. I think this one's got all the hallmarks of an absolute belter as well. Fremantle, youngest team, currently inside the top 8 versus a team that has never played finals. Where do you see that one settling down?
I think Youngback's vital for Freo, and he's shown just how important he is. They're back to nearly at full strength as well.
Mm-hmm. Do they play fast or do they play slow? Because Fremantle, when they take the game on, they're as dangerous as anybody, but when they slow it down...
I think they'll take them on, surely. I hope they don't. I'd love to see Gold Coast win, but I can't see it.
Yeah, it sets up for an absolute magnificent finals. All right, mate, let's take a very, very quick break. When we come back, we'll talk some AFL hot topics, and then we'll get into the SANFL, the AFLW, and a little bit of cricket as well. Coming up, Alex Dimonor, obviously doing his part for Australia at the US Open. And some interesting SANFL results with Nord getting over the line against the Doggies and Glenelg just getting over Adelaide in the final as well. And Braden Cook had an absolute belter for the Crows in that final. And the AFLW, a couple of teams flexing their muscles with a couple of very, very, very big scores.
You're listening to the Game On Podcast. We'll be right back after this short break.
A dents and scratches putting a dent in your day? Introducing Roger Steen Crash Repairs Adelaide, your trusted solution for automotive woes. With over 2 decades of expertise, Roger Steen Crash Repairs guarantees top-notch service, restoring your vehicle to its former glory in no time. From minor dings to major collisions, our skilled technicians handle it all with precision and care, using state-of-the-art equipment and techniques.
Roger Steen Crash Repairs saved my car. It looks brand new.
Fast, friendly and reliable. I wouldn't trust anyone else with my vehicle. Don't let accidents slow you down. Visit Roger Steen Crash Repairs Adelaide at 14 Penner Avenue, Glynde, for quality service you can count on. And here's a special offer just for our listeners. Mention this podcast and receive a $100 discount on your repair. Roger Steen Crash Repairs Adelaide. Excellence in every repair.
And as per usual, we thank our sponsors for helping us out. And if there's anybody out there that would like to become part of the podcast, we'd love to hear from you.
Definitely.
All right, let's talk some AFL hot topics. Awards season has begun with some interesting selections, or actually more notable, some interesting non-selections, mate. What did you think about one? Let's talk about Josh Worrell not making the final 18.
Bizarre.
Or the final 23,
Absolutely bizarre. I don't get it. If I would have thought your jobber's selection with that one comes to the line ball bit, right, who's a guy who 99% of people have got in their side and it's not controversial?
Well, and you've got access to this the statistics better than anybody else.
So for mine, it was just crazy. And also the All-Australian captain side of it. Dawson's voted best captain by his peers. He's a captain. Dawson or Anderson had to be captain.
Yep.
Just ridiculous. Why the participation under 10 award garbage? It was ridiculous. And they come out looking like bloody idiots.
Yep.
It's just garbage.
You're right. When it comes to the All-Australian selection, isn't it about what you've done this year, not in previous years or over the journey of your career? It's the Dawson one certainly was the head scratcher for me, so was the Worrell one. But the other one was Aaron Norton not really basically making the squad of 40 and then, obviously doesn't get his opportunity to make that. And he's kicked, 58 or 60 goals this year?
He did have an average start to the year. He had the hot finish. I sort of get that. I thought Callum Wilkie was the glaring not out of the whole squad. For mine, he was the unluckiest one not to make the squad.
Were you a Gawn or Grundy?
I was Grundy personally.
Yep.
But I see you could have gone either way on that.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm not saying that's not a bombshell selection, but Worrell was the big one, I thought, and 4 midfielders on the bench.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Is that aren't you supposed to be selecting for specific roles? And I know they don't play anybody, as per se. But if you really want to do that, then pick from the 44 and pick 2 teams to play against each other.
Or you say, right, we're picking. Why not pick 7 midfielders, 7 defenders? That, and then your bench balance. But 4 midfielders on the bench again. It came, and again, both the named wingmen, McCluggage and Smith, both would have played lucky for 5% of the year on the wing.
Yep.
I had Ollie Dempsey in my side because he actually played on the wing.
Yes. Yep. Does that need to be tightened up as far as some
I think
specific stipulations go?
Yeah, to say, right, you've got to pick 2 wingmen.
Yep. Did you think Kasai Pickett and Marcus Bontempelli were relatively lucky to make that final squad?
Bontempelli did miss the first 6, but then he was very, very, very good after that.
Yep.
So I've got no real problem there, but
it's a pretty impressive bench. Nick Dacos, Marcus Bontempelli, Caleb Sarong and Matt Rao.
Yeah.
You can't fit them in anywhere else.
Yeah,
really.
I know. So it's look, we all
I know we have our own opinion.
Agree it's really hard to pick. Yep. But for mine, it was why go out of the way on the captain bit? You don't have to do that.
Yep. So
just go with a captain. It was like the year they picked Alex Ferrant's captain. He's never even been in a leadership group.
And Buddy Franklin as well.
Yeah.
So, look, don't get me wrong. Those guys are great players.
We're not, that's not the dispute.
Yep.
So pick a captain so that you're not creating controversy there.
Yep.
And then Worrell was the most number of intercepts in the competition.
And
an incredible year.
And 2025 has been a fantastic year for him. So
yeah.
Were you surprised with Gunston in the forward pocket?
He did kick 70-plus goals.
Yep.
So,
I would have probably put him on the bench if anywhere.
Yeah.
But again, it's so hard to pick the final team. But yeah, you're right. There's a few glaring errors there, and I'm sure there'll be more and more backlash as the next couple of weeks go on with those selectors.
But I thought the captain bit was huge.
Yep.
Because it's almost like trying to be a smart ass with it.
Yep. Yeah, you don't need
to have to do it.
Yep. Once again, another thing the AFL have got wrong this year that I think needs to be tidied up, that's for sure as well. All right. Milestones and retirements during finals. Teams looking for that extra 1%. Is it a good idea or a bad idea? We talked a little bit earlier about Tex Walker and Neil Bullen and co, obviously, with their milestone games, but some original Gold Coast players have decided that they're going to hang up the boots at the season's end.
It's a hard one. In terms of the bit there, I don't think wouldn't matter if it's Walker's 299th tomorrow. No, you're not going to be extra fired. You can't be extra fired up. I actually think you want the other way.
Yep.
So actually, I'd rather it not be his 300th in a final. But look, I think the Swallow bit one, that's probably the biggest call for Gold Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Does he go? Because look, he has done okay when he's been the sub a few times as well. So that's probably the most interesting selection.
And that's been given the okay tonight by Damien Hardwick. He actually gave exclusive to AFL 360 that he will be playing.
Good. I didn't know that.
He hasn't been given the Guernsey. He's earned it, which is really, really good as well.
I'm glad of that. I didn't know that.
Is it a case of teams especially with the players that are retiring, just giving that opportunity to say goodbye rather than fading off into the sunset?
I think he's probably more wants Swallows leadership in the group. I think that's probably more the point.
Well, they've got a tough challenge over in Freo, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Do you think you get that extra 1% because of these type of things?
No.
There you go. We all know the game's played in between the years.
Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting to watch. Does having less finals experience actually help, or does the average games or average profile of a team help? We talked about that a little bit earlier, but do you think it's the better the devil you know than you don't know that could actually help a team, say, like a Gold Coast, like an Adelaide, to a certain degree, like a Hawthorn, especially when it comes to average finals games?
Yeah, I do think you do wondering, Collingwood have looked old in the later part of the season.
Yep.
Has Father Time caught up with them? Has this week just been perfect, freshens them up? Who knows?
Yep. Well, we're going to get our answer on Thursday night, that's for sure. Let's talk some trade news. The trade market. Curnow has basically requested or is open to a trade. Carlton have come out and said absolutely not. He's gone on holiday and have left it up to the managers. Generally, that means it gets done, and he's also met with Cox from Sydney.
Yeah, it's a wait and see, isn't it? You know, it's more just the worry there that so many people seem to want out of Carlton, Eston, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
it's a big worry. Even for me as a Carlton supporter, it's a big worry.
Yeah. It's you'd want to get a big. He's on contract.
Yep.
So you'd want to get a bloody decent offer.
Yep.
You'd want at least two first rounders and a good player.
What about Curnow to Sydney, Chad Warner to Freo, and Luke Jackson to Carlton?
Would Luke Jackson want to go to Carlton?
Well, that's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially if he wants to come back, obviously, to Melbourne. So that's just a hypothetical that was thrown up. I heard that one a little bit earlier on, and I thought I would throw it out there. Jamara, do you see him finding a new home next year? Does the AFL have a responsibility to look after him and get him back?
Got to want to help yourself as well, though.
Yep.
So it's an interesting one.
Yeah, that nightclub incident a few weeks ago doesn't help that, does it? Yeah. Players off the field causing problems on the field as well. Let's talk some.
I don't know if he caused it though.
No. He just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. But again, nothing ever good happens after midnight, really. Yeah. Some will say after 3 a.m. or 4 a.m., but really midnight. Hinkley to Hawthorn, mate. This is an interesting one that's come up and reared its sort of head a little bit. Is that Hawthorn have reached out to potentially get him in as a potential head of football.
Yeah, and there's still words of Carlton, rumours with Carlton as well.
I picked that probably 8 or 10 weeks ago, but Hawthorn are throwing their hat in the ring.
Oh, look, I think he's very well respected within football.
Yep.
The people are going on that he hasn't coached a premiership. I still think he got that list, was never anywhere near remotely the best list. So Carlton, I'm a huge fan.
Carlton could be in the same boat at the start of next season if some trades and some players leave like they do. Should Adelaide look at someone like Elijah Hollins for maybe trade for Lockie Scholl?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm not sure. A fair bit of interesting stuff off field.
Yep. But do you back your culture that Adelaide have finally looked like they've got right?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't want him ending up down at Geelong. That's really what it gets down to, because he'll play like nobody's ever played before and ended up, playing really well for them. So
it's an interesting one.
It is an interesting one. Mate, your top 5 AFL players right now, who have you got?
Oh,
bit of a question without notice.
I'm probably still the Bont.
Yep.
Dacos.
Yep.
I think after Heaney.
Yep.
I'm a big Heaney fan. I love Heaney. Then I think it probably gets more. I'm a huge Darcy fan, although he's ironically had his only really average game, and it showed how good a defender Pearce is in that last mono-round game.
Yep.
But I'm probably Darcy as well.
Yep. Would you put Butters in there?
Butters is right up there. Dawson's right up there.
Yep. Nasai, Wanganeen, Malera.
Yeah, and Wanganeen, Malera.
Have to put him there as well. Yeah. I've pretty much got the same list. Bont, Dacos, Cameron, Nasiah Butters and also Jordan Dawson in there. I reckon this final series will probably add to Riley Thilthorpe's inclusion in that or exclusion in that.
Yep,
so
that's fair.
Not putting pressure on the young man, but that's just how the cookie crumbles in that respect. Injured players obviously playing finals. We don't want to see that happen. Is it better that the top 6 have a week off and we play in that bye week some sort of wild card game?
Yeah, I admit I didn't. I thought just the whole week was so anticlimactic. It needed something.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, women's footy in terms of their.
Well, they've shot themselves in the foot.
They have. They've really. It had to start. Why they moved it was just crazy. Yes, we know the weather, but I'm sorry, you had your own window there to now be competing at the end of the season. It's just crazy. Come on, it's ridiculous.
Should be an interesting watch. Last one, mate. Each game looks to have something interesting about it. What's your big takeaway for the bottom 10 sides going into 2026?
We're trying to keep players is probably the big thing at the moment.
Yep.
Trying to get some continuity and togetherness and that side of things, because there's obviously big question marks at a few of the clubs at the moment.
It's going to be a big gap, that's for sure. All right, mate, let's move on to cricket. Stark retires from T20 cricket. Is this a sign that he could be just on the way out as far as the Ashes go this year?
No, I don't think so. I think for him it's more that he's always prioritised Test cricket.
Yep.
He really hasn't played that much 2020 stuff.
Yep.
And when it has, it's generally been for Australia. So huge tick for him.
Do you think what happened over in India there a little while ago, where they sort of had to fly out very, very quickly, maybe put a few things in perspective for him?
I think he's a guy who sees that whole picture a bit more than others and not just dollar signs.
Yep. Absolutely. Mate, we did flag this a couple of weeks ago, but I thought I'd actually bring up some of the statistics on this because it's very interesting that the best Sheffield Shield seasons or openers since 2015-16 season, Jake Weatherald's actually in it twice.
Yeah.
And his 2024-25 season was 10 matches, 18 innings, 906 runs at a strike rate or average of 50.33 with 300s and 350s. This start to this particular part of the Sheffield Shield season could make or break as far as Weathers goes in potentially being an option for an opener when it comes to the Ashes series.
If Jake can relax, not be too intense, because that is his weakness. Yep. It's funny, people look at, they just see on the cert, and probably the only Jake Weatherall they know is during the Big Bash and think, oh, he's happy-go-lucky.
Yep.
No, it's the other way around.
Duck on a pond, mate, just paddling at a million miles an hour.
Let's just say a few of us maybe keep reminding him the word to have relax as the key word for his summer.
Yep.
If he does, I think he'll wear a baggy green.
Yep, there you go. Just out of curiosity, I looked up his 17-18 season when he had 10 matches, 20 innings, 765 runs at 38.25, 200s and 450. So he's not only like a fine wine, mate, he's actually getting better with age, and maybe that relaxation is actually working, and being down in Tasmania allows him to do that.
Yeah, I hope so. And look, maybe talking out of school a little bit, but did catch up with Rhino, and we were talking exactly about that with Jake, and that hopefully he's getting there and just keeps improving.
Absolutely. Constas makes 100 in some red ball cricket just before the Ashes. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, can only help.
Yep. I know you're sort of the jury's out a little bit on him for you.
I just want to see him bat.
Yep.
I don't want to see... Look, in hindsight, we get it. He was told to go out, take risks. Nothing else was working against Boomerang.
Yep.
So we get that. But then he kept doing it. I just want to see him bat.
Yes.
Look, he has got a technique. You know, people are thinking, you know, the reverse and the ramp and all that.
Yep.
No, I just want to see him bat normally.
Yep. Save that for the T20, but when it comes to tests,
I just want to see him bat.
Dig in. An English paceman could be out for the Ashes series, mate. Have you heard the whispers on that?
Yeah, Robinson has ruled himself out.
Yep.
He's only played a couple of tests and that, but he probably would have been in the touring party. But Ollie Robinson's decided that his body is not going to cope with Test cricket.
Yep.
and he's going to go the white ball route.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Interesting stuff. All right, let's move on to the SANFL. Congratulations go to the Sturt Football Club on winning the Thomas Seymour Hill.
Yeah.
Not the Stanley Lewis.
Yeah.
They're obviously in pursuit of Tommy, but overall throughout all the grades as well, which is a fantastic result. Once again, Sturt leading the way.
And they won by a fair gap too.
Yep.
They didn't just scrape in that one.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, well done to them. On a personal note, as far as the McGarry medal goes, congratulations go to Tom Lewis on winning the McGarry medal, and by a considerable amount as well.
And he was the big tip. Yeah, everyone thought he'd win, and thank goodness he did.
Yep. I did read a little bit of a story about him that, he was in quite a bad way physically 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Came back from an injury, came back from, I think it was a ruptured spleen or something really horrific. And to win a McGarry medal is probably vindication of just sticking at it. And there's a lot of people that would be in the same boat where
I'm amazed,
the occasional industry.
I'm amazed he hasn't been on an AFL list.
Yep.
I really am.
Yep.
So.
Does that happen generally?
Yeah, you get stereotyped. People think, just a fraction too slow or not quite tall enough, like Jack Hurd.
Yep.
They decide that he's not tall enough for a key position, not quick enough for the small bit.
Yep.
It's just you get stereotyped.
And we did mention, I believe we mentioned last week, but if we didn't, we'll make it out now, that Harry Boyd, obviously the joint 2024 McGarry medalist, obviously delisted by St Kilda. What is his thoughts on, obviously, he got his little taste as far as the AFL goes. Does he just sort of fade back into maybe SANFL or local football, or does he now stay home in Victoria and just play some local football there?
I think it'll depend on his studies.
Yep.
And still with the physio bit, and hopefully he'll be back at the parade. So just wait and see. But yeah.
Congratulations. Talking about the parade, goes to Norwood, obviously getting the job done against Centrals. It wasn't the prettiest game going around, but Norwood just chipped away all day, and the first quarter didn't look all that good, but they put it all together in the second and third quarter to set up the win in the fourth.
Well, 16 goals out of the 19 at one end. Again, you would have thought it was a gale, but no, and probably Norwood just a bit
and totally
steadier.
Opposite to the AFL, because the AFL's down the northern end.
Yeah.
These were all down at the southern
end. Yeah. So, probably a bit steadier, a bit calmer at the end.
Yep.
I did see. I thought the Crows were distinctly unlucky. Certainly didn't have any luck in the umpiring in the last quarter.
Yep.
Last quarter and a half of that game, and I think there was a few Crows people pretty angry about that afterwards. So
yep. Yeah. Obviously, Glenelg getting up by a point there, and Norwood obviously getting up by 15 or 20 odd points. So well done to them. They play each other this weekend. What are you expecting? Is it another free hit for Norwood?
Yeah, I think it is.
Considering they played them 5 or 6 weeks ago and actually did reasonably well.
It's going to be interesting. If Adelaide lose, I think therefore they're probably going to climb more and if they get some injuries, they'll pull guys out and things like that. So I think Thursday night's got a massive
bearing on what happens on Sunday.
Yeah.
Mate, last one, and I know we've talked about it ad nauseum, but does first lots of finals need to be held at suburban grounds? Because I did notice that the Waffle had done it and it was fantastic.
Yeah, it's ridiculous that it's not. I think it's crazy.
Yep.
Should only be the grand final at Adelaide Oval.
Yep. And give them a week.
I've had
a week to train them.
I've had that view for years.
Yep. I think it's more and more noticeable now, especially that the stadiums were half empty on the weekend and
90% empty.
Exactly right. Whereas a local suburban ground, I mean, realistically, let's throw it out there. If that was played, if Norwood played Centrals at Centrals probably win, don't they?
Yeah, I'm not out of that. I just think it just should be that way. You finished higher, you get that benefit, and it's supporting then the area, and it would have been a huge day at the Ponderosa. It would have been great for business out there. I just think it's a no-brainer.
Yep, it's definitely a bonus for the club, that's for sure as well. All right, let's talk some AFLW. Some huge results in the AFLW last week. Teams kicking over 100 points was just huge. Yes,
I did see a bit of the Port game while I was out trying to sell books on Saturday.
Yep.
And that Scholes Matilda Scholes just absolutely
She's going to dominate, isn't she?
Yep.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting one there, and well done, obviously, to Port Adelaide in having a huge win, obviously, against the Gold Coast teams. Surely fan surveys would show that the competition needs to be reworked or changed to suit the level of players that they've got available, and also the level that the AFLW is at right now. And this is not a knock on them. I think there's just a better way of doing it.
I know I've said it before, and it's a cliche line, but you don't start the matinee after the main movie.
Yep.
That, for me, says everything with it. February, when you're crying out for footy, and now you get in towards the end of the year where you've had enough footy.
Yep.
You don't want it to keep going and going.
Put it where everyone's just itching for something.
Yeah.
Could you see the teams being split into some sort of conference to be able to help manage the level of play? Because teams that are getting blown away by 70, 80, 100 points in the AFLW, considering the games are shorter and et cetera, is not a great thing. Could we see that sort of American sort of route with the AFLW to be able to help sustain that?
Yeah, that's a possibility. You think of that North Melbourne Fremantle game. If that's the men's length of the game, that's probably at least 170 point win.
Yep.
You don't want that.
No, exactly right. All right, mate, let's get some tips very quickly. Melbourne, we got it on the right week this week. Yeah. Melbourne v. the Tigers.
I'll go Melbourne. Only just got up, but I'll go Melbourne.
Yeah, Melbourne for me. Gold Coast Suns v. the Giants. 17th versus 18th, mate.
I thought they were both. I'll go Gold Coast.
Gold Coast for me. Carlton v. the Western Bulldogs.
Carlton are the improvers.
Yep. I'm actually going to change my tip from Gold Coast to the Giants, actually. Yep. Carlton for me there against the Western Bulldogs. Hawthorn v. St Kilda.
I'll go Hawthorn.
Sydney v. Fremantle. Sydney for me. Adelaide v. Brisbane. At Norwood Oval, mate, the home of football.
Yeah, I won't be that.
Fair enough. Brisbane, fair enough. Adelaide maybe just, but yeah, I think that'll be close. Actually, I'm going to tip a draw. There you go. North Melbourne v. Collingwood.
North Melbourne
for me. Essendon v. the Cats. Geelong.
Yeah, I'll go the Cats.
I'm going to go Essendon on that one. And West Coast v. Port Adelaide.
I'm going to go Port Adelaide.
All right, one last one before we get off to our last ad, mate. Congratulations go to North Melbourne in basically taking out the last 14 games of the home and away season. Is a new record for the AFLW there, and they're just a well-drilled team, aren't they?
They're certainly the team to beat.
Absolutely. All right, mate, let's have another quick break, and then we'll get into our, what do we got coming up? Our flashbacks and also extra time big finish. Coming up on Friday, Jack Lehmann Part 2. We didn't get that one out last week, but we will this week. And also Greg Edwards Part 2 as well.
You're listening to the Game On Podcast. We'll be right back after this short break.
Looking to buy or sell your home anywhere in Adelaide, from the hills to the sea? Meet Gary KRIEVS, your dedicated local agent from OUWENS CASSERLY Real Estate. With unparalleled knowledge of Adelaide's housing market and a commitment to exceptional service, Gary ensures a smooth and stress-free experience for all your real estate needs. Trust the expert, trust Gary KRIEVS at OUWENS CASSERLY Real Estate. Your next dream home awaits. Contact Gary today on 0422 071 317 or on email garyk@ocre.com.au. And for more listings, please visit owenscasserly.com.au. Make it happen.
Flashbacks.
Jarman again, got the one hand to it. This time it wasn't enough. Normally it would have been, but it's a slippery ball. Jarman still going, trying to soccer it down. He's still going, Jarman. Now he's at the bottom. Now it's the ball. You say he's not very well. You say he's unfit. How good is that, girl?
Yeah, well, that's the about 12 out of 10, I'd say.
The shot and one on the scoreboard here, and the applause unbelievable. Look at him.
Lucky 3.
That's clever, that's smart. Do that again, Joe.
The Crows are playing brilliantly at the moment. Jarman in the pocket, kicks towards him, got him. Well, he can go back and put him in front just like he did last week. Kicks for goal. They're in front.
Costa, Hamilton bounce obligingly for him. He's paddling it out towards the boundary. 55 metres out, Jarman. Jarman, his side in front. Pinpoint accuracy.
Harvey gives it away to Burke. Robert and Wakeland. Back towards Jarman. Jarman! Yes! Darren Jarman!
Put some space for Allen alongside the centre circle. Unloads. Smart. Put behind. Open goal. 5 for the half. Jarman.
To Costa, the handball out wide, gets to Connell. Connell inside 50, belts it towards full forward. Jarman there, with him was Zilla. Jarman again, round the body, that'll do. Oh, that will do. Oh, unbelievable, Darren. He has played a game.
Extra time. Big finish.
All right, mate. How good was Darren Jarman there? That last goal in particular is just one that I keep shaking my head at going, how in earth did that ball fall into his lap and he just snaps off of a half a step and it's so accurate?
Nah, he's a freak.
Absolutely. Who, let's question without notice, mate. Who is the one person that could potentially do that in this final series if Adelaide are to, get on a bit of a roll?
The AFL aren't letting him play.
There you go. Well, someone who is playing, who would your bet be? Could it be someone like a Dan Curtin?
Yeah, no, I just don't think they've got anyone else like that.
Yep, that X factor.
Yep.
All right, let's move on, mate. Tennis. So once again, Australia's main man makes it through to the quarterfinals in another dominant display. Alex de Minaur is holding up the hopes of Australian tennis, obviously in the male side of things. Geez, it'd be good to have Ash Barty, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. Just give that extra impetus. Look, it's now his 6th quarterfinal.
Yep.
I think it'll be the first time he starts favourite.
Yep.
So,
does he need that Jake Weatherald, as we talked about before, that relaxed, just go out there and do your thing, or is it a case of that he still is a step behind some of the top 5 or 10 players?
I just think he's just not as good. I think it's incredible his consistency that he keeps competing.
I mean, that's where Hewitt was so good for Australia there, is that he was able to dig in. But the level of weapons that players have these days is very, very important.
So he's number 8 seed. He's playing Olga
Alasimi,
who's 25th. Now, Olga Alasimi does have a 2-1 record over him so far, but that's obviously so be it. Probably the one incredible result was Sinner just absolutely dominating, where they'd had a close
he went to town, that's for sure. And
6-1, 6-1, 6-1 against Bublik, who they'd previously been very level.
And he's a very, very good player as well. Australia players as a whole actually had a pretty reasonable US Open, which gives good hope, obviously, for the Australian Open coming up early next year.
Yep.
But it is a case of the same old playing in the finals for the men's. Is it getting a little bit boring? I mean, we've had the same old for quite some time with, say, a Roger Federer and a Nadal and a Djokovic. Is it a case of now we just need that villain, I suppose, to be able to break through?
Yeah, well, I think Sinner is a bit that way. He's already had a drug ban, a controversial one there, which was more like a wet lettuce slap.
Yep.
It's probably still to develop. Like, in the end, you think, I think especially Federer and Nadal. I don't think the majority of us ever warmed to Djokovic the same way, where Federer and Nadal would just look forward to it the whole time.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting watch, that's for sure. All right, let's move on to the NBA. The 36ers NBL Blitz was interesting exercise. They had some very good results. They lost one, I think, very, very tightly, but it was the backboard that came down on a player in the middle of a training session that has everybody talking. How does
he's out
that
for a while
happen?
too,
Yeah,
so they've got to wait and see how long.
fractured vertebrae, you
Yeah.
don't expect that to happen. Where does that sort of leave the 36ers? I know that he probably wasn't going to be a starting player, but an important player to their roster. Do they go to the NBL and ask for compensation as far as a player coming into that roster for a period of time until he gets back?
You'd think so.
Because it does leave him at a disadvantage,
surely
doesn't
that's
it?
common sense.
Yep,
so.
absolutely. Let's talk soccer very, very quickly. Adelaide United appoint its first female assistant coach in the club's history. A great appointment.
Yeah, look, it's progressive, so let's wait and see.
Absolutely.
So,
We'll follow that one up a little bit more next week. NRL teams using the final week of their minor round to rest some players, something the AFL tried to stop, and it's basically the clubs doing what's in their best interest, isn't it, to try and win a premiership.
I see both sides of that.
Yep.
Probably quick thing back on soccer.
Yep.
This is the first year in many a year there's been not one Australian in the EPL's first division sides.
Mm-hmm.
Irakunda's arrived with a bang at Watford.
Did he ever?
He scored 2 classics.
Yes.
2 games in a row, but there's not one player, which is a bit of a worry.
That is.
You know, you think of the glory days with Harry Kewell and Kale and the other centre forward, and that where there was a huge percentage, but now since Ryan and so I think it was Lagongo last year, and his side got relegated and one other, so there's not one Australian, which is a bit of a worry.
It is indeed. Just the name of that assistant coach was actually Marushka Waldas. So congratulations to her on being there. And we might just follow that one up a little bit more as we go along.
I think we should get our soccer expert.
Absolutely, we should. Let's finish off on Oscar Piastri. Has a bit of a one-handed stranglehold on the championship at the moment with a 34-point lead.
It was a dream result in terms of, you know, he gets at the start it said that Nano was going to be the get pole and all that, and he just pipped him. And then oil leak as well, so he doesn't finish. 34 points, it's huge.
It is. Is it interesting, though, from a Formula One point of view, that a team has such an advantage, both drivers? Is it a case of the drivers are actually...
I think it's generally the car.
This is what I'm saying.
The one. So, look, I just want to see him win it.
Absolutely. It would be fantastic for not only Australian Formula One, but also for the local scene here when it comes to the Melbourne Grand Prix. All right, mate. Good, the bad, the ugly for this week, mate.
I'll probably leave what I think's on the ugly. I'm still biting my lip on one.
Well, we've got a special sort of segment coming up that we're going to record a little bit separately with the rulebook rant. So we will go there.
So, look, the good, Nord in terms of progressing. Bad, I'll go the umpiring in the second game.
Yep.
Ugly, I'm not sure on that one this week.
No, that's fair enough. My good is for the Sturt Football Club. I think from where they have come, and a lot of SANFL people will definitely know that, you know, they were on their knees a bit like Glenelg, and now they're actually two of the powerhouses of the competition. So for my good, not only Sturt obviously winning the Stanley Lewis, but obviously
the Marjorie,
to get the McGarry as well, which is fantastic. And I think they're well on their way to obviously winning this year's premiership, so best of luck to them. My bad is probably the AFL when it comes to their... I have to say it, their wokeness when it comes to the AFL All-Australian captaincy, but I think that there's been other decisions that have happened with other things that have happened over the course of the last 6 months that sort of scratches your head that they are not a political organisation and should not get involved in that. So that is my bad and probably my ugly as well. It's just something that needs to be taken out of sport really in general. So I'm going to leave my good, the bad, the ugly. But once again, we thank everybody for tuning in tonight. As per usual, like, rate, subscribe, share, send this on to friends, family, teammates, opposition players, anybody that's walking down the street, just tell them all about it and get them on the podcast as well. So, mate, as per usual, we've got to do better, and we will next week.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you, mate.
In this crazy world we live in, we all need the distraction. Enjoying the show? Like, rate, and subscribe. Hook up and connect with us on social media at SportscastSA. We'll see you next time on Game On.